Hey everybody, welcome back to Stories with Sally. It has been a while since I have done a story, and a couple weeks ago, my nephew, his name is Whit, he called me and he said, Aunt Sally, would you please do another story on your YouTube channel? And I said, of course, if you ask, of course I'll do another story. And so I'm very excited to be with you today. I do want to show you a picture. There's my nephew, Whit. He is precious. He loves to read and he loves being outside. So the story that I chose for you today, and I am dedicating this one to Whit, is called How Rocket Learned to Read by Tad Hills. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Now, while I'm reading this story, I'd like for you to think about the characters, who is in the story, the setting, where and when the story takes place, and the plot, the problem and the solution that the characters encounter during the story. How Rocket Learned to Read. We have the copyright page and the title page. Rocket loved to play. He loved to chase leaves and chew sticks. He loved to listen to the birds sing. Every fall morning, after chasing leaves, Rocket would lie down in his favorite spot under his favorite tree. There he'd sniff the neighborhood smells and settle in for a good nap. But one day, a little yellow bird startled Rocket. Aha! My first student! Wonderful, she sang. Rocket was confused. Student? I'm not a... But if I am your teacher, the bird interrupted, then you must be my student. Rocket found it hard to argue with this bird. I am so glad you saw my sign, the bird chirped. Oh yes, I can see it, Rocket said. But I don't know how to read. Can't read? Fantastic. She waved a wing. Welcome to my classroom. But I just came here to nap, Rocket said. No, no, there will be no napping in class, declared the bird, except of course during nap time. Well then, I can take a nap over here, said Rocket. I've had a very busy morning. Not to worry, I'll be around every day, chirped the bird, until the weather turns. As Rocket breathed in the crisp air, the little yellow bird hung her banner. Ah, that wondrous, mighty, gorgeous alphabet, she marveled, where it all begins. Opening up a book, the bird began to read. She sang out the story of an unlucky dog named Buster who'd lost his favorite bone. A cool breeze carried her lively voice across the yard. At first, Rocket was disturbed. But before long, he found himself captivated. To Rocket, the story was as delicious as the earthy smells of fall. It was as exciting as chasing leaves. He closed his eyes and listened to every word. As Buster dug and dug under the lilac bush, the bird read. He felt something familiar. Rocket waited. Was it the bone? He wondered. Silence. Was it the bone? He called to the bird. more silence. Was it the bone? Rocket hollered. Suddenly he was rushing to the tree. Well, was it? But the little yellow bird was gone. The next morning, Rocket arrived early. At last, the little yellow bird appeared. Hello! How wonderful to see you in class, she chirped. I can tell by your waggy tail that you are well rested. I'd like to hear the end of the story, please, said Rocket. That seems like a fine way to start the day, chirped the bird. She gave Rocket a name tag and began to read. Every day, Rocket returned to the little yellow bird's classroom. In the morning, the bird taught him a new letter until he had learned all of the wondrous, mighty, gorgeous alphabet. Together, they sang out the sounds that each letter makes and spelled the sounds they heard around them. With a G and many R's, they spelled Mr. Barker's growl, grrr. They spelled the sound of the wind, which was growing colder by the day. Whoosh! Soon they were spelling words like FALL for the gusty time of year and RED for the color of the leaves. And each afternoon, the bird read a story. She read stories about dogs and birds. She read about leaves changing colors and about birds flying south for the winter. Then one day, the weather turned and the letter banner disappeared. See you again in the glorious spring, the bird sang. And as she flew into the wintry sky, she called, Don't forget, words are built one letter at a time. The days grew shorter and the leaves fell from the trees. The grass became crunchy. Soon Rocket's classroom disappeared under the snow. He remembered the little yellow bird's alphabet and practiced the letters. Rocket thought about the bird's sweet chirp while he sounded out words like D-I-G and W-I-N-D and C-O-L-D. He made new friends and spelled their names. Hello, E-M-M-A. Hi there, F-R-E-D. He spelled everything. S-U-N-M-E-L-T. When Rocket spelled M-U-D, he knew that spring, as it always does, had returned. The breeze blew warmer, the grass grew greener, and a sign appeared. Class starts tomorrow. Early the next morning, Rocket rushed to his classroom. As he waited, he spelled W-A-G. Soon the little yellow bird arrived. Aha, my star student, she sang. How wonderful to see you. I can tell by your waggy tail that you are ready for class. Welcome back, Rocket. Then together they began to read. They read stories about birds flying north in the spring. They read about picnics in the warm sun. And they read about Buster, the lucky dog who found his bone under the lilac bush. And when they were done, they read it again and again and again. Okay, so boys and girls, let's think about the characters. Well, in this story, it is pretty easy to name the characters because there are only two. The bird, who is the teacher, and Rocket, the dog, who is the student. Now, I do want to address one thing. When we think about the genre of this story, we think about how in this story animals talk. And we know that in real life, animals don't really talk like we talk. And so we know it has to be fiction, a make-believe story, because animals are talking. And then when we think about the setting is outside in the outside classroom. And the plot. So the problem and the solution. Well, the problem is that Rocket really wants to learn how to read, but he has to be patient. And this made me think about how the students over the years that I have taught, I've realized that everyone learns to read in different ways. We learn at different times and we learn in different ways. Some children start reading when they're very little, 3 or 4 years old, and it just clicks and they start reading. For other children, it takes a little bit longer, and they may not really start reading until first or second grade, 7 or 8 years old. But you have to be patient, and just like Rocket, what's important is that you practice. Rocket practiced so hard, and that's how his problem was solved. He practiced and he practiced the letters, and then finally he was able to read. So, how Rocket learned to read. I hope you enjoyed the read aloud today. I look forward to seeing you again soon, and I'm also very excited about the summer coming in a few weeks, and I'm planning on doing a story a week during the summer to help all you boys and girls, and especially my own class and my niece and nephews, keep up with their reading skills during the summer. Have a great day, and I hope to see you again soon. And don't forget, tune in to my YouTube channel, Stories with Sally. Bye-bye.